Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So this has been trending and I feel like I'm a little bit late, but anyways, I just had to recreate mine. So this is what mine looks. So I'll be showing you guys how you can go about the cutting and stitching of this very beautiful skirt. So I made this using 5 yards of Ankara fabric. So you will need a lot of fabric when you want to make this. You will need a lot of fabric. All right, so with that being said, let's get started. So these are the materials I'm going to be using. I have my tape, my chalk and my scissors here. I have this Ankara fabric here, and I have, this is 6 yards of Ankara fabric. I ended up using 5 yards. Now if you're using Ankara, you will need at least 5 yards of Ankara fabric to make that skirt. But if you are using crepe, you will need at least 3 to 3.5 yards. All right, so I made mine using this Ankara here, and I use a whole 5 yards. So when you're about to make this, just get ready to keep a lot of material. I also want you to pay attention to this very part here because it's going to be a little bit trickish. You guys, you know Ankara fabric usually comes in 45 inches. So this way here is where you have like from like your 60 inches length, like the length where you have 60 inches, and this part is the 45 inches in length. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to now add some fabrics here, because when I fold it into two this way, with what I have here, I cannot like get the full length of my skirt. So what I'll do is to cut fabrics and add fabric to this part. Okay, so instead of 45 inches, I will have 60 inches on this part here. So I'm going to cut fabrics and add on this part, so you guys just pay attention to it. So on this, the first and the second one, I'm going to attach fabrics to it. Now I've joined my fabric to those very part again, just like I told you guys, and this is where I joined it. All right, and from the wrong side, this is what it looks like. You need to add up fabric so that you get the full length of your skirt, because if you fold it into two, it's not going to be enough. So you need to join fabrics to get the full length you're working with. I also added fabric on this other side. So right now that we've gotten up to like 60 inches in length from border to border, this right here, you can see from here to here, I have even more than 60 inches from border to border. All right, so I'm now going to fold it into two, just like what I've done here. Fold it into two this way. All right, make sure you arrange it very well, and you're now going to fold it again into four, just the normal way you will fold a flare, like you want to cut out a 360 degrees flare. All right, so you're going to now fold it into four again. So this is what I have right here, you can see. All right, so once you folded it into four, you are going to arrange everything properly and then go ahead to iron it out. You want to make sure you iron it out very neat before you go ahead to cut it out. Please note that this part is the folded area, and this other side are the areas where I joined it, and this right here is the open part. All right, so you can see, I just hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So these areas here are opened, these are the areas where I joined it, and this other side is the folded part. So I'm now going to fold it again into two. So what I did was I had to open it again to show you guys what I'm trying to say. So after folding into two, go ahead and fold it again into four, so you have it folded this way. Once you're done with that, just go ahead and iron out everything. Make sure you iron it out very neat and straight. So guys, if you are making use of a crepe fabric, there will be no need for you to add another pieces to it. Why? The reason why I had to add is because I'm making use of Ankara fabric. You know, crepe usually comes in 60 inches, not like Ankara that comes in 45 inches in length. Now that I'm done ironing this, the next thing I'm going to do now is to start taking my measurements. On the folded part, this part is open and this other side is folded, just the normal way you fold a 360 degrees flare. I'm now going to take my measurements. Now the measurement I'll be using is my round hip divided by 4, and that's because I'm going to be adding an elastic to this. But if you don't want to be having an elastic band, then you will need to use your round waist divided by 4, and you will need to add a zipper to it. But as for me, I want to make use of an elastic waistband, so that's why I'm using my round hip divided by 4. I'll place it this way. My round hip divided by 4 is 11, So I'm going to fold my tape this way to wherever I have 11 inches. There are other ways you can do this, but for me, this is what I normally do. I folded it to where I have my 11 inches, and I'm just going to connect this line just like so. After connecting the points this way, you are going to now measure to that point. As you can see, I had 6 inches here, and on this other side I had 8 inches, so I have to increase it down to 8 inches point. So make sure that both measurements are correct before you even connect it. All right, so now that I have gotten the correct one, I'm just going to make this round here. So the first one is no longer needed. All right, right now that we are done with this, the next thing we are going to do is to now get the full length of the skirt. So on this part here, I'm now going to get it, but I'm going to be taking away 2 inches. The 2 inches point is going to serve as the waistband. All right, so you need to take away 2 inches. So from this part here, I'm going to extend my tape by 2 inches on that point, so it's going to serve as our elastic, like the waistband. So from there, I'll come down to about 22 inches, which is where I want my skirt to stop. All right, so after marking 22 inches on this point, you're also going to come to this other side and also mark same thing. So on this other side as well, I'm also going to mark my 22 inches. So make sure you pay attention to this. So I'll still take away 2 inches here, like here for the waistband, and I'm going to come down to where I have 22 inches as well on this other side and also mark it. Once I'm done with this, I'm now going to use my straight ruler to connect those points. So this is how you're supposed to connect it. You come to this part where you have the 22 inches and you're going to use your ruler now to connect it down to this other end. So just look at what I'm doing. I'm going to connect from here downward. All right, so I'll connect it down to this other side. All right, so just connect it downward. And once I'm done with that, on this other part where I also have my 22 inches, I'm now going to connect it across. Like the both lines need to cross each other. You guys just pay attention. The both lines will have to cross each other. So on this other side here, I'm going to use my straight ruler now to connect it from here now to this other side. All right, so connect it to here. So you can see that the lines actually met, like cross each other on this part here. Just make sure that they cross each other like this. You understand? So once you're done with this, you're almost done with the skirt. So just make sure the both line cross like this. That is when you know you are on the right track, and then go ahead now to start cutting this out. After cutting, this is what you have. You have it looking like a square, right? So by the time you open it up, you are going to see what it will look like. But before then, we're also going to cut away or like the waist area. So I'm not going to cut directly on the line. I'm going to give about ½ inch for the stitching allowance. After cutting it, so by the time you open it up, you're going to have it looking like this when you are done. So some parts are going to be longer than the other, so that is how the skirt is supposed to be, right? So you're going to have it looking like this. But before we go ahead to proceed, I'm going to first open up one side of my skirt to serve as the bag. So I want to open the part that has this joining so that that part will just be on the back area, like it will just be at the back. All right, so I will just use my scissors to open up this part just like this. Just go ahead and open it up like this. Now even if you're adding a zipper to it, you will need to open it up for you to be able to attach your zipper to it. All right, that's if you don't want to add an elastic on it, you want to give it like a zipper, so you still need to open it up this way. Now that we are done with this, we'll need to cut out the second one. Yeah, you don't need to cut out one, you need to cut out another one, just in case you don't understand what we did on the first part. So we are going to also do same thing here. So it's just the same thing. I have folded the fabric into 4, just the way I told you guys, or I showed you guys. So it was first folded into 2 this way, and then I went ahead to fold it again into 4, just the normal way you fold your 360 degrees flip. Now that I'm done with that, I'm now going to place the first one on top of this to cut out my waist. So before you place the first one, just make sure you iron out everything neatly. So right now I'm going to now bring the front pieces and then place it on this one here. You see, make sure that the part that is open is facing the part that is also opened on this other side, and then we are going to now go ahead and cut out the waist area. Once you're done cutting out the waist, so we are going to have one that is going to be shorter, like one is going to be shorter than the other. So this one here, still extending my tape from that 2 inches point, I'm going to come down to about 16 inches. If you want it a little bit shorter, the choice is yours, so you can decide to make use of any length you want. So for me, I made use of 16 inches and I'll mark it here, and then I'll come to this other side again and also mark that 16 inches point, just in case you didn't understand what we did on the front on the first pieces. So this is me repeating it again. So right now, on that part where I marked the length, I'm going to now connect it downward using my straight ruler. So you're going to connect it down to this point, just like so, and then you now come to this other side again where you have like the full length, and also connect it down to meet this other side. So just like I said, the two lines have to cross each other. Please, whatever you're doing, just make sure that it's cross each other, just like this. When you're done with this, you're now going to go ahead and then cut it out. After cutting this, do well to also open up this other side. Just open it up just like this. All right, once you're done opening this, like when you're done opening it, you're now going to bring this other side here and then open up the waist area. So you bring the shorter one and place it on top of this other one here. You are going to place it like wrong side facing the right side. You don't have to place it right side facing each other. Like for me, I placed this wrong side, right side facing each other at the arts. Like when I was about stitching this, I had to like correct it. Just place it right side, wrong side facing right side, because we are going to be adding an elastic band, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch down the waist area. You can also decide to fold the end of the skirt if you want, but as for me, I use a weaving machine to just weave all those areas later. I have stitched down the waist area and this is what it looks like, right? So I'm done with this, and the next thing I'm going to do is to take the measurements I have on this waist area. Remember, I used my round hip and not my round waist because I'm going to be adding an elastic to it. So if you want to add a zipper to it, you're not going to have it very wide like this. So take the measurements around the waist. Even if you want to add a zipper, note that you're also going to be having a waistband. So take the measurement around the waist and then cut out your waistband. So for the width of this waistband here, what I have here is 5 inches. All right, when I open it up is 5 inches. I cut out 5 inches. All right, so on fold I have 2.5 inch. Okay, so on fold here I have 2.5 inch, and the length of this is the measurement I took around the waist of my skirt. Okay, so right now I'm now going to open it up this way, place it like this, right side facing each other, and then stitch down this area. When I'm done stitching this, I'll show you guys. I've stitched down this part here and this is what it looks like. I also had to iron my seams open. So right now you're going to now fold it back this way and then go back to your sewing machine and also stitch on it. So you're going to stitch now to close up this part. You're going to stitch it around, but you'll be leaving at least 1 or 2 inches so that you can be able to pass your elastic band through it. So these are the areas I'm going to leave open to turn my elastic through that point. After I was done stitching, this is what I have here. You guys, you can see I have stitched down these areas and I'm just going to cut away the excess thread. This part here is open, so this is where I'm going to be passing my elastic band through. At first I cut out an elastic band that measures 11 inches, which is my round hip divided by 4, but I realized that it was too small, so I had to use my round hip divided by 2 minus 2 inches. Okay, so that it will not be too tight So use your round hip divided by 2 minus 2 inches. Let it not be too tight, okay? You are going to pass it through this point. Pass it through this point just like this, and when it gets to this other side, do well to secure it with your pin. Use your pin to just secure it before you continue to pull on this other side here, so that when you are pulling on it, it's not going to be a waste of time, because everything will just go in and it will not look as if you are not doing anything. Then I've secured it. I'm going to continue pulling on this until it gets to this other side here. You guys, after I was done pulling on this elastic band, this was when I now noticed that this particular one here is very small. Okay, so I had to go and increase the length of my elastic band, which I told you guys that I use my round hip divided by 4. So by the time you are done, you're going to now secure those areas and then push everything inward. So this is the second one I made. You can see how wide this one looks. So this is actually the one I had to go for. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can decide to just run a top stitch around it if you want, but for me, I'm not going to be doing that. But you can decide to run a top stitch around it if you want. It is also very okay. So go ahead and bring your skirt this way, and on the waist area you are now going to join it together. Place them right sides facing each other. Alright, so place them this way. You go back to your sewing machine and stitch them using 1/2 inch. Alright, so just go ahead and stitch this part using 1/2 inch. After stitching this with 1/2 inch, I've closed up the side, as you guys can see. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to now bring my elastic. So I'm going to now place the part where I have that joining on this elastic band. I'm going to now place it facing the part where I have the joining for the skirt. Alright, so you're going to place them this way and then go ahead to pin it down. Alright, so you're going to now take this to your sewing machine and stitch down the waist round it. You can also decide to pin it all around if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it around. After I was done stitching my elastic, this is what it looks like. So from the inside, I'm going to use a weaving machine to weave it so that it will look very neat. And for the end of my skirt, I'm also going to be using a weaving machine to weave all these ends. But you can decide to fold it. I don't know if you'll be able to fold this because the flare is too much and it's going to be somehow difficult, so I prefer to weave it. So this is how mine looks after I was done stitching this. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. And if you are new to my channel, you haven't subscribed, please do well to hit on the subscribe button, and also please turn on that notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload my next video. To my old subscribers, thank you guys, and I love you all. See you guys in my next video. Bye.